I was being stupid. Okay. I was being dumb with my money. I was buying Porsches every year. I was living the good life. I had the home. I had the pool. I was taking vacations all over the world, but I wasn't managing my money. And to make a long story short, one day I woke up and everything was gone instantly. I'm not even going to cover that story, but I'm going to start from there, guys. I woke up literally in a wheelchair up 16 flights of stairs. Matter of fact, I was so high up, I would crawl down those stairs and I actually broke both of my arms. I have two steel rods in my arm to this day. Okay. Now, when I woke up that day, I found that I had nothing. So I played a little game with the system. What I would do is call 911. The ambulance would come get me, and I told them I wanted to commit suicide. I didn't want to commit suicide. I just knew that by law, they had to take me to the hospital and monitor me, and at least I had somewhere to go, and they'd feed me 3 times a day. Well, that kind of ran out, and they sent me somewhere, and I stayed there for a couple of weeks trying to get it together, and then they released me, to a homeless shelter. Homeless. I went from owning a $350,000. Right now, that house is probably worth about $600,000. But here nor there, I walked away from my lifestyle, my family, my life was all taken away from me at the snap of it was over. And I never forget, they took me to a homeless facility. I was scared to death. I've never been in that situation. They told me if I was lucky, I could get a room. They had this facility where I could get a cot, and you had to check in every day at 2:00 and to make sure if you get in line, and hopefully you could get a bed that night, or you had to sleep in what's called tent city, which is basically outside in a tent or a blanket or whatever you could do. Here it is, freezing cold, raining. I'm scared to death. I'm a grown man. I just had a family. I had everything. And here I am in a homeless shelter. And I'll never forget, they gave me a bus ticket, a one-way bus ticket to go anywhere I wanted in Dallas. And I used that ticket literally because I refused, because of my pride. My ego was broken. And I said, there's no way I'm staying in a homeless shelter. Let me get out of here. And I'll never forget, I took the bus to the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. Now, here it is. I'm at the airport. I stayed in the airport that night. And what I did was I went over to the international section where flights were going out in the morning internationally. And I met a guy from Korea, a businessman. From what I understand, he's a multimillionaire, but he didn't have any American money with him. And he was hungry and he wanted something out the vending machine. And I'll never forget, I had about $5 in my pocket. And he wanted to trade me some Korean money for anything I had, so he could get him a little something to eat out the vending machine, because all the restaurants were closed. It was the middle of the night. And I used here, this is how stupid I am. I gave him my last $5 to get him a little bite to eat when I had absolutely nothing but that ticket. Well, the next morning, the airport literally kicked me out because they knew what I was doing. And I had to go back to that homeless shelter. Long story short, I was homeless. I used to check myself in every day at 2:00. I would get a cot, thankfully. And every morning they would wake us up at 5:00. And then you had to go, they had this little center. Okay. And you could go to the center. Oh, let me tell you this. When I went back to the homeless shelter, in the bus station where they took me back over, this lady stole my iPhone, literally grabbed my iPhone and stole it, because what they do when you're on the streets like that, if they get their hands on your iPhones, they'll go and block them and sell them. That's how they make money. And I didn't know that because I've never been in that environment, but I had my iPhone stolen, so I had no cell phone. And I'm here in the homeless shelter, but every morning I would get up